レトロシティ。ここには平和も秩序もない。
Greetings collectors and welcome to today's retro game review. This is an episode I've been wanting to make for some time, as it features one of my favourite arcade games of all time. Join me as we crack some skulls in Final Fight for the Sega Mega CD. When I was growing up, the experience of going to an arcade was a magical experience. The dimly lit rooms, the flashing lights, the numerous attract screens of the cabinets, and the distant sound of air hockey pucks being hit. You would walk by the cabinets deciding where your 20p piece would best be invested. You've already overdosed on the Turtles and Simpsons arcade games, and turned pre-diabetic by the amount of hours you've invested in Burger Time. You need something fresh and exciting, something bright, something bold, something life-changing. This is when I encountered Final Fight. The word Capcom meant very little to me back then, but it was the start of something very special. Final Fight just looked, sounded and felt great. To a youngster in need of a hit of arcade action, Final Fight was the hottest ticket in town. Look, a kung fu bloke. This dude's dishing out some serious beats to the gangs, and this guy's just set fire to his own friend. It was just breathtaking. And then, in walks Hager. Like a giant rampaging Freddie Mercury on steroids, things really start kicking off on the streets of Metro City. At this juncture in time, the arcade was king. I of course had the Amiga conversion of Final Fight, but it never really held a candle to the arcade original. I later saw the Super Nintendo release, but the censorship and lack of features just made it one more reason to avoid the system. Then, rumours of Sega's futuristic beast, the Sega Mega CD, circled in the magazines of the day. A full, two-player, uncensored version of the game was to land in 1993. For Sega fans with the hardware, this was one of the most anticipated game launches of all time. Here in the UK, the Sega Mega CD version was dialed back just a little bit with some censorship. For those with the Japanese hardware though, the gloves were off, and things were about to go down on the streets of Metro City once more. So, how is it? In a word, mania. The music was true CD quality. The game even had a narrator, and the ability to deliver pain and suffering to the Mad Gear gang, unrelenting. This was it. This was Sega and Capcom's vision to deliver the arcade experience into the home, and I absolutely adore this game. When I play this one, I'm right back in the arcade, desperately searching for coins to feed them into the cabinet. In truth, this is an arcade favourite of mine, and perhaps also holds the #1 spot on my Sega Mega CD collection. The game is very much based around a story of revenge. Metro City has been set siege to by the gang known as Mad Gear. The newly elected mayor, Mike Hager, makes it his mission to take on Mad Gear, who control much of the criminal activity in the city. Hager's daughter, Jessica, has been kidnapped by the gang, and let's just say that this does not go down well with Hager, the former street fighter. Along with Hager, Jessica's boyfriend Cody joins the fight, as well as Guy, Jessica's friend, because, well, you know, you always have to have someone who knows ninjutsu in a street brawler. You'll soon take to the streets for some good old-fashioned beat-em-up action. The opening sequence is very much a tribute to the Double Dragon series, with the girl being carried off by the gang. Guy, Cody and Hager share certain attack mechanics. All can hold an enemy, and can perform jumping attacks. If in trouble, you can also hit A and B together for a special move, but this will drain some of your life, so use it wisely. There are notable differences between the fighting styles of the three heroes. The most notable fighting style differences you'll notice though are the grapples. Whilst Guy and Cody can throw the enemy, Hager takes this to the next level by grabbing them and then launching into the air with them. Anyone in their way simply gets squashed. This makes Hager by far the most fun to play with. Bearing down on your enemies and then pile driving them into oblivion is the type of escapism that beat-em-up games were made for. There's just nothing more satisfying than a raging Hager as he wipes out a room. Just look at this classic action on the moving train. The environment, the music and graphics all make this game so appealing. Other mechanics from the arcade are still in here. Destroying scenery will often give you weapons or food, which will be much needed at times. It's now ingrained in gamers' minds that it's fine to eat food straight from the dirty city streets. You will need this food too. final fight, due to its coin-guzzling arcade origins, is at times brutal and unforgiving. In the fights with the bosses such as Sodom, don't be surprised to see your life bar being wiped off a quarter at a time. Abigail can literally take off half your life bar with one punch if you're not careful. Final Fight offers some great bosses, from the street gangs to the police, the wrestlers, and even a boss that thinks it's fair to simply pelt you with grenades. So there's plenty of variety and memorable characters in here to lay into. When you're not punching the gangs, you'll be setting about their property. The classic Smash the Car bonus round is now an iconic Capcom moment. Simply set about destroying the car as fast as you can for bonus points. Final Fight is also a game that has been subject to either controversy or censorship over the years. The Nintendo Super Famicom edition is considered to be very limited. Not only is it lacking in multiple player modes and the exclusion of Guy without an additional game, Final Fight Guy, attempts were made to limit the controversy. Most notably, the characters of Roxy and Poison were replaced by Sid and Billy, as it was thought that violence towards women in video games was unacceptable. Sure, it's fine to throw fire in this guy's face and stab obese people, but heaven forbid women get involved in video games. As a result, the Super Famicom version of Final Fight was badly hobbled by Nintendo. Strangely, it was then later suggested that no, Poison was actually a male character, so it was okay to include them in the game. I won't go into the whole saga in this episode, but it led to an ongoing Capcom gaming theory that Poison is actually an early transgender character. The truth actually appears to be that Poison is indeed female, but gamers still love to fan the flames of controversy, and why not? Capcom themselves are to this day reluctant to state a definitive answer to the question. It's likely that this comment on Poison's gender so many years ago has now been blown well out of proportion. What you will find in terms of censorship on Sega platforms spilled over when the US release of the game was modified for the US audience. There are small tweaks in the game. The most notable, Jessica's underwear, has been covered up in this US release by a red dress. It's not a game changer by any means, but one more reason fans cite the Japanese Sega Mega CD version as the true conversion of the game.
What? What happened to Jessica? Who is this?
Not so fast, Mike. Turn on your TV.
You son of a... What have you done to her?
Nothing yet. But we'd enjoy the opportunity. Listen to reason, man. Why make your job difficult? Just let us do as we please, like the mayor before you did.
何？ジェシカに何をした？貴様は誰だ？
まあ焦るで。そこにあるテレビをつけてみればわかるかもよ。
貴様！
あんたはやりすぎた。街は今まで通り俺たちマッドギアの好きにさせてもらうぜ。これ以上警察を介入させるなら、ジェシカの命はないと思いな。
Of course, none of this stops the fun, but it does bring into question other elements of the regional releases. Take a look here at a quick comparison of the introduction scenes. In the Japanese version, Haga seems notably annoyed and angry, and the voice acting is spot on. In the US version, Haga and the gang member just seem to be having a casual business call. Top this off that the original Japanese version of the animation was made to sync with the voice acting. In the US version, the lip sync is just a little bit off. Again, it's not a deal breaker, but one more reason fans of the game tend to gravitate towards the Japanese release of the game. And here is that release. I've owned both European and Japanese versions, and I can confirm that the Japanese edition is where the action is really at. You will need the Japanese hardware to play this game, but it is well worth it in my opinion, particularly if you are a serious Sega collector. It opens up new avenues of collecting for you. The artwork is really iconic and just everything you would want from a Sega CD game. Great artwork and a simple case to hide the all-important game disc. I have to say, Capcom and Sega really did well with the manual. You'll get an introduction of the story, a simple explanation of the rules, explanation of the options menu, character bios including movesets and some general strategies to engage the enemy. Interestingly, the manual also gives you a taste of the levels with an image and description of each round in the game. To top this off, you get an illustration of all the gang members and bosses in the game. It's very satisfying to know that this thug is called Bread. Overall, this is a physical presentation that you'll want to preserve in a protective sleeve jacket if you have one. There are now of course many ways to get hold of the full edition of Final Fight, but I find owning the physical edition is more satisfying as a collector. In terms of pricing, UK editions of the game can be found for anywhere around the £50 price point, but will almost certainly rise over time, as this really is a true Capcom classic. The North American NTSC edition prices range greatly at online auctions. Complete in box though, $150 to $200 is not an unusual price to see online. However, do yourself a favour and pick up the Japanese uncensored version for as little as $25 or just £20 here in the UK. Bear in mind though that you may have to pay a small import duty. So, Final Fight, is it worth collecting? I think we all understand that the word is yes. As a Sega collector, fan of beat-em-ups, and someone that has nostalgia linked to this game, it's an essential item. Not just to put on a shelf, but to really get involved in and play. Due to the reliance on the Mega Drive's colour palette, it's not a perfect conversion. However, it's about as perfect an edition as you will find, especially for the time it was produced. The Sega Mega CD version of Final Fight captures that arcade feel, the dramatic scenes of gang violence and energy that should be present in all beat-em-up games. Final Fight was a favourite of mine back in the day, and I'm happy to confirm that Final Fight still shines as a best-in-class street brawler. Without it, we almost certainly wouldn't have seen games such as the Streets of Rage series go on to pick up its crown. To this day, Final Fight remains an important game for Capcom, its fans, and beat-em-up lovers the world over. Hello again, I hope you enjoyed today's show and thank you for the view. Remember, you can always comment, like, subscribe and find us on the social media sites below. Happy collecting!